Hey, hello guys, how are you? Finally it's time for you to get my English video about this. I'm Mark from the SUPAFORZA 68 in France, so that's why I speak such strange English. Especially because I'm a bastard between German, French, Switzerland. So it's even worse. The FTX supercharger is a 1/7 scale GT. Not a competition car, it's just for fun. In the same size, clearly we have the Armas, and yes, the FTX supercharger is based on some things from the Arma series and at some things from the X01 series. Many Arma freaks gonna claim, it's just a copy. Yeah, and where's the problem? Copies or other cars in that size are good because so we hope all that more we get from some cars, more the price gonna sink or the quality gonna be higher or something else. So if you ask yourself which 1/7 do you want to get, you have the worst of all, ZD Racing DBX07. They had based the stuff on the Ken Block style body, old school with new school mix. So they get it that if the car looks nice, it will be sale more. You have the weakest alloy, the weakest plastic on the car, and the baddest tires from all. Then you have the Arma series. You have Limitless, Infraction, and Felony. ZD Racing, Infraction, and Limitless have all the same size tires. The Felony has bigger tires in the rear. That's also the case from this one. There are not so much cars on the market with that type of stuff. We're gonna come after, not earlier, but after in the video we're gonna talk about it. For sure, we have since a long time the Traxxas X01 1/7 scale. And that's not the first one. The first was a Chinese brand rebranded by the Germans named Carbone. Carbone had made back in the time for 20 years now the Superscalers. The Superscalers was a 1/7 scale and we had a BMW GT, a BMW E46 GTR. From which we have the Unbreakable body now for 1/7 scale. It had to be a little bit downsized because the super scale Carbone was a little bit longer on wheelbase. They also has done an Opel Astra and I guess an Audi something. That was a nitro engine, a cheap car underneath, but just for have fun on parking like we do. So that means you have one Traxxas model based on the Slash, so it's a 1/10 scale, super stretched. One thing good is it's super light. Second thing good, it has a real and the best ground effect that I ever have drive on an RC car. But it's a Traxxas. Price is heavy. It's a 1 scale, so for drive fast long times, it's not the best choice. They have their own body, so they not have to pay anything about the brand or something. We have Arma, who now has Infraction, Felony, and Limitless, and special series. What is I like this NASCAR series, camping car series, and a sedan NASCAR series. But the camping car series looks gorgeous. Has a really super nice paint job on it. And I see the picture from the sedan version, Horizon Obby colors. We want something like STP, mellow yellow, all that old school stuff we can get, or all new school stuff we can get, but not just Horizon Obby brand. Sorry, we need it without colors so we can do our own paint job. We have the ZD Racing 07 with one body, and we have the FTX. This is a rebrand. It's an FS racing car, 1/7 scale, By FS Racing you get a metallic blue and black, a matte black. By FTX Racing you get a red metallic and a blue metallic, and by CONRAD Electronics you can get the REELY DEATHWATCHER 6S. It's this car in a strange yellow and in matte grey. It's really in grey, it's gorgeous. But when I see the FTX version in red metallic, I just had to grab it. Why did I take one, even if I know that this car is not as tough as an Arma on the plastics? Because I have driven and tested enough the REELY Raptor with an FS Racing Atom 6S or FTX DB8 or something else, something like that. FS Racing, FTX it's not DB8, it's DBR or something. So the same driveline. I'm happy with this driveline. The drive cups and the nuts hold okay. Not the best, but are not destroy fast. I'm happy with the differentials. They are something called standard size, like we use in our bow cars, in many other cars. Not like the Arma's diffs. The Arma differential are smaller, not so bright. And I'm not happy with the stock Arma differential. You know it after 10-20 runs. When you run wild, you have any time to change the oil, because the shine are going in dust in the oil, and you have to reshine all that stuff. So this is a problem that this car not have. My Arma, I can get the EXB differential way better. I really like that. And what I do is that I take the EXB diffs and put the locking system away, especially in the rear. And I'm happy with. But problem is the price. You can get the car, then you have to upgrade the diffs. If you just drive for fun, easy, it's not an issue, but if you drive a little bit harder, it's an issue. So, our problem by the Arma cars, for me, is you have no grip. The tires are bad. You have to change a lot of things on the car to get a real drivable car. Traxxas, just some suspension adjustment, extra cost for the sway bars, then you have a car who's drive like a GT. The ground effect on the Armas, I don't know if you really have something like a ground effect, especially not on the traction, because the whole air gets on the side from the body. The limitless, it's a little bit better, but if you haven't driven an XR1, you cannot understand what I mean. I have driven the XR1, I have driven the Arma lines, I have driven the most of the cars you can get on the market, and the XR1 has really, this is a big difference what you have there at ground effect. And talking about a car with a real grip, and you can really drive like a GT, it's not that one. It's the Obao Hyper VTE2. For me, this is the great white shark in 1/7 scale cars at the moment we speak together. You have no other 1/7 scale car who drives as good as the VTE2. He's light, he's 1 kilogram lighter as all the Arma series. You have no ground effect stuff, you don't need it. You still can drive 300 kilometers an hour with this stuff. What's cool, it's just a roller. You can take your own body, and because it also is lighter, you can just put some GT tires on it. And this is a major point where we're gonna take time to speak about it. The tires. Arma tires sucks. Sorry, they are bad and cost a lot of money here in Europe. We have to pay about 50 euro for one pair, and they last 1 or 2 runs. I don't mean by drifting, I mean by driving on a track in GT mode. ZD Racing, don't speak about it, and they have no grip. Even if they have now 3 sorts of rubber. I'm really not happy with the tires. Proline makes some stuff, super heavy in price. No, a little bit more grip than the Armour tires, hold or last a little bit longer. With tools I was able to get 7 runs or 10s, but €60 one pair. Power Hobby tires, bad also. They look nice, they have super nice different color from rims and some stuff, but here also to get it in Europe I have to pay 120 to 150 euros for one set. That means even a little bit more than Preorder tires, because the Preorder tires are available by us, and the Power Hobby tires has to be by Power Hobby in USA, so we have a lot of fee for the shipping and the custom fee. So, and they have a little bit more grip than the Preorder tires. I was a little bit more happy with that, but they not wear also not longer, and for that price it's too much. Because in Europe we have SP Racing, PMT and GRP tires, and those brands make a 1/8 scale GT competition tires. You can get what you need. Rain tire, wet tire, dirt tire, and what you need on hardness at the rubber, from super soft to super hard, medium soft, hard soft, super mega soft, XX soft, really all that you need. Cost about 60 to 80 euros one pair and last easy 20 runs. So that's the type of tire we drive on our 1/7 scale. The problem now is the most of them are 96 millimeters. GRP make a new series with, they say 100 millimeter, but it's only 98, but still looks a little bit better. The Traxxas X1 has the same problem, only one rubber, special size, and not super good. And also heavy price. So GRP Racing, Mr. Maurizio Gandini. After I emailed him to ask him if he will take the time to look what he can do for us in 105 millimeters tires. Just for a moment, only in 32. That means here the size, as the brightness from the front tires, but the size from the rear one in diameter. Why? Because I know that make bigger rear tire cost a lot of money, and in fact he has already do something about that, and he don't do it in the end because the project was not okay for him, cost too much, and he was not sure he gonna sell enough tire, because he need to sell 10,000 tires for the first run to get in his money. So I asked him, because he has done these studies on the Armour Felony. So I tell him, listen, we have only on the market now the Armour Felony and this baby here with bigger tires in the rear as in the front. All our cars drive 4 same size tires. So we have a lot of them 1/7 scale now with 2 big tires, and not just 1/7 scale GTs. Many from us drives 1/8 scale long wheelbase chassis with the newer style bodies or rally style. That means this type of body. Just a moment please. So we have here a Subaru body for a 1/8 scale long wheelbase chassis, and 2 type of body. We have also Ford Fiesta, Citroen DS3. Looks also weird with these small tires. We have a Porsche, we have Audis, and all that cars looks just stupid with small wheels, and we need those bigger wheels there. So I tell him we need just one size. If it works, if there is demand, we still can go for a study for bigger rear tires. But for those who drive Felonies or this car, it's super easy. Just have to switch the front diff to the rear and the rear to the front. They use different gearing in front and rear to adjust the different size of tire. On the Armour cars, you just have to switch the differential to get 0.0 something near to the same rotation speed. That's not a problem, because in the most of the time you just drive with all wheel at same speed when you go straight. In all other case, when you're on a track, you have always differential was unworking. So we all do that here on the Felony. To have good tires, we take the GRP T03 series, we put some spacer in the rear, we change the front to rear diffs, and we drive with 4 same size tires. And you don't really see it on the car because it's just such a small difference. And regarding the fact that we use spacer in the rear, we go out with the tires, so it's absolutely not a problem. The VT2 use 4 same size tires, limitless, traction, ZD Racing, and all overall. So Serpent long wheelbase, Hobao Hyper GTB long wheelbase, and all that stuff. And how cool it's gonna look on a 1/8 scale buggy with 105mm street tires. It looks just, I love it. So this is a project for the moment, and this is gonna come. And when it's coming, I'm gonna tell you, because we have to pre-order. GRP makes competition tires, so he knows he makes such competition tires. They're gonna be sailing competition, but he has no knowledge for us hobby drivers. So he tell me he's not gonna just produce 10,000 pair units and then sit there with the tires in the hand and no one wants it. You want to be sure we want some tires. So we need you. When I'm gonna get the start from this, that means I'm gonna make a video when it's okay, when I have the green light from Mr. Maurizio Gandini, big boss from GRP, Gandini Racing Products. And we have to pre-order. And all tools who are gonna pre-order gonna get 20% reduction. That means the tires gonna come with 3 different hardness from the rubber for the moment. They're gonna be belted. So for those who knows GRP, you know these tires are amazing. So I don't have any fear to get liked by Power Hobby or Proline or Arma, just tires who sucks. So the price gonna be about, here in Europe, to 30 euros 1 pair. That's way less than Arma, Traxxas and Proline and Power Hobbies. And you get 20% of this. This means you're gonna pay about the price from a 1/8 scale GT tires stock if you pre-order. And if you how faster we pre-order the tires, many quantities, how fast they're gonna go to production. How I say, you just want to be sure that you're gonna sail those tires. So we need you, because who is not gonna be happy to get 105mm tires with a real competition rubber and have a real car with grip just by putting some 4 rear tires on it. So back to the car. Yeah, this is not just an unboxing. For those who not knows the channel, I let the other channels unboxing and do the amazing, beautiful stuff. And we just put the car in the real world. So between the other cars, for me, there's no concurrence. This is not an Arma killer or something. I have no Traxxas killer. For me, this is all stuff to drive together. What is cool is that FS Racing goes to a modern body. Arma choose old school body, Traxxas choose something else. And ZD Racing choose some stuff Ken Block style. So there is something for everyone here. Don't forget, you have two Italian brands who made Lexan body for 1/7 scale. This is Delta Plastics, and you have it now in USA. Go check deltaplastic.USA. They have a really lot of body for 1/7 scale. You have Emii Design, who make two gorgeous, super nice body, the Super 7 and an old school Mustang. But you have to see it. It looks really, whoa, I really love it. Now we have this one. We have many Unbreakable body by ELSASS Body RC, by Pro Body RC for the 1/7 scale. That means we have at least 20 or 25 different type of body now on the market for those cars. So I really cannot wait anymore to get real tires for this. And now we're gonna speak about the car. First, I'm gonna show you more in front of the camera how nice this stuff looks. They do a really great job at the bodywork. FS Racing, check it out, like ZD Racing, that if a car has a nice body, even if underneath it's not the best, they're gonna sell it. And unlike many other brands, can you tell me why Horizon Hobby, Traxxas and all those big brands are not capable to give us lights with the car for the price we pay? This is a little bit cheaper than all others, and we have front LED lights with turn lights. There is something I don't check. When you put the power on, you have the front lights, no rear lights. When you turn left or right, you have turn lights, but just in front. In the rear, you have nothing until brake light. So I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna put one wire more and put just an LED for the normal light, to have tail lights and stop lights. We still have no turn lights, but I don't need any turn lights. Maybe I'm gonna put them out in the front, because you never see a race car using a turning light on a racetrack. So the car looks amazing. I'm gonna lift the body up. You have 4 body clips and some Velcro straps on the side to fit the body at the car, because normally we're gonna get here also a ground effect. We have a nice done, I don't know if it's thick Lexan or if it's a smaller sheet of plastic for the rear wing. The lights are done really nicely. We have a big plastic part in the rear with the lights. Take care when you hit it. I don't know if this is gonna break here. The Lexan is thick, and it's Lexan. I bent it in a corner to check it, and it's not PVC material, it's really Lexan. The front lights are bolted on and maybe also glued in the car, so also take care if you hit something. That's especially not the type of body. I don't buy this car to drive wild. I drive this car just for fun, because if I want to drive wild, I have my Hobau Hyper VTE2, because it's a real 1.7 GT. You have the back mirrors. I would like to get no sticker here and some translucent here parts with a little bit smoke. They go for stickers because it's way more easy to do. We understand that, and it still look nice. In the body you have the LED light system with the rear wire for the stop lights and front wires. Here you have these little units for the stop lights and for the turning lights. The body weighs about 600 grams. It's really thick and tough done. Don't know what's gonna happen by the driving if you hit something, but I have a good feeling on this body. On the car they use, how we say, a little bit structure from what has done Armour and ZD Racing also. We have a center brace. We have the motor in front and left-right batteries. Not like Armour, they have done the weight more in front. It's better for the weight balance on a GT car, but It's just something, it's not a bad point, it's just for me. This car gonna weight with battery about 6 kilograms, so I really like in my car over 5 kilograms to get 82mm motors, and here you cannot put it in. Arma has done it now that you can put bigger motor, especially in the Limitless V2. You can even put a 1/5 scale motor in there. Here you cannot. For 2001, clearly it's surely possible to switch all that stuff around here, to go with the motor on the left, on the right side, to put a bigger motor and just only one LiPo there. But I can go for a 47mm motor with 1400 kV, Castle 8S ESC because it's not more heavy than that, and 2 lightweight 4S. So I can drive it in 8S with the performance from the ZXS 6S, but I know, I tell this anytime, but less kV, more S, equal less amp draw, equal less motor heat, less ESC heat, and less battery stress. And I really like to drive long times, and especially in the summer. If you have not done it yet, if you have a 6S car from this size, try it. Put an 8S system in there, but with less kV, just same size, go down with the kV, go up with the S, and then go drive. You're gonna see you get the same performance with clearly still more punch at the throttle. And even if you have the same top speed, you're gonna see that in the end of the run, you're gonna have 20 degrees less temp in the car as in the 6S system. So we're gonna drive this system cool, and we're gonna see what happens. We have an 80 kilogram servo. This is a slow one, 80 kilograms in a 6 kilo cars with a hard front diff is not okay. This servo gonna struggle, but we're gonna make a first stock run, and then we're gonna replace it by 25, 30, 40 kilograms with a brushless servo to have a real steering. You can here adjust your servo saver. That's nice. It's something you cannot do at the Armas and at the Traxxas series. We have a pivot ball system. They do since beginning with the short arms. At the FS Racing series, I'm happy. I even drive the FS Tank, and with the FS Tank I was not happy because with the super long arms, this plastic is too flex and the car has a strange behavior, especially at turns. But here it's okay. Major good point for FS Racing, you can get it by FTX, by CONRAD. That means you have many part supports and the parts are cheap. One pair of hubs cost about 6 euros here. That's even not the price from one hub by Corrali or by Arma, such stuff. The Arma hubs are a little bit tougher, but this is a non-road, so we don't need to have too tough stuff. The off-roader, it happens, but it happens also by Arma that you can pop off here the balls. When it if it happens 1, 2, 3, 4 times, you're gonna get a problem. Maybe you're gonna get a crack in there. Something strange for me also, because Arma as an Horizon brand should be used the lousy plastic stuff, so it not will happen anymore, because Obao, Mugen, X-Ray, all our breeder brand who make pivot balls has no issue with popping out balls. So I don't get it why they don't do it. Here I understand it, because it's a cheaper car. The motor stock comes with a 12-tooth pinion, so that means we have the same gearing here as in the FS Racing Atom 6S, which give us about 75 km/h out from the box, which is okay. It's nice enough. They give you a 14-tooth pinion, so you can go up to 80, 85 km/h, maybe a 90 at top speed. here we see that this is, for me, this is clearly the better choice, because Arma done it the other side. The car runs 90 kilometers out from the box, but if you really drive it like a GT, you go on a track, you take your RTR Arma with you, after 6 minutes the battery are overcooked and the motor is over 70-80 degrees Celsius out there. I have the test run, you can check it. That's why we all drive here in Europe, the most of us, 8S in the Arma series. So we're gonna see what happens here, because it's a little bit lighter because of what they take by Traxxas. A small chassis. That's something I not understand by the Armas. Why did they have such a large and heavy chassis on the Arma series? This is way enough here, and the rest is all some plastic stuff. Stuff is cheap to replace if you break something, like a TTX01. You also have that stuff. Personally, I never break something here or that. It's flexible stuff, that's also nice. They have done the same failure as Arma here, with the screws looking outside. I'm gonna just put some counter-strung screws in there. They do that by Arma so you not heat the fender in the front, but if you go here down and with the screws you destroy the whole front. That happens when you drive on parkings. I don't understand for the moment why they do that, because you have a nice air flow here under the chassis, but they go to put here some plastic parts. That means the air underneath gonna be put here down to the ground. I don't know if it's this who makes then after that the ground effect, or if they do that after doing the car, because the first test with this made the car fly away, because this is a big problem by ground effect stuff. Is if it's nice done, it works super, but if it's bad done, your car flips away really fast. So we're gonna see what happened here. They beefed up the alloy because the Atom series, FS tank and all that, the off-roader has 4mm cheaper alloy than that what is here. Something funny, because on an on-road car you don't need super tough shock towers, because normally you're not gonna heat it. This is 5mm 6061 alloy. You have a nice how to say, work on it to make them look nicer and tougher. But it's just look. What I like here more, that at the Arma stuff you have 4 points to change the shock mount in the front, 5 in the rear. That means you can really lay down the shocks, and you also have 2 points in each A-arms. I would have here also 3 or 4 in the A-arms. And if you want to see how a real on-road competition GT is done, gonna take a look at X-Ray or Mugen website, and you're gonna see the way they mount the shocks. They even use some small parts to put the shock so near possible at the wheel they can do to go against the roll. You have sway bars. Looks like the same sway bars as on the off-road car, not too thick. Easy to tune. You can just take a sway bar from other brands. First check out for sure the holes in the balls here, what you can put in at the biggest possible, or you have to take the whole sway bar from another brand. You have an alloy front here, pin holder, but all other 3 are plastics. Gonna be way enough. And the on-road, even at the off-road, I had no problem just with the rear brace. The rear brace is the first thing you're gonna break at an FS Racing off-roader. But FTX, this is a brand based in England, has the alloy parts optional for the off-road series. So maybe we're gonna take the rear one or all over 3s if we need, or if you need, to replace the plastic parts. But I'm gonna first drive it full stock. Instead of a road, you have a square. Changes nothing. It's a brace. I love the fact that they use everywhere some soft plastics here. That's nicely done. An important point is a hobby ring, ESC and motor in there. RTR series, this means a little bit downgraded, not like by Corelli. We used this one, I think, from the only brand in Europe, the USA, to use the fully real hobby ring, upper quality stuff. All others used downgraded stuff, Horizon Hobby, Tools brands, etc. But made the job. It's okay, I'm happy with that. We're gonna see what happens with the tire. I'm gonna wait until it's a little bit more, the temp outside gonna rise a little bit, because we have still minus Celsius degree here in France. So it's clear it's gonna sleep. We're gonna drive it stock. After that, I'm gonna change the suspension setup, because in the front it's soft, in the rear it's super hard, and for me it's a little bit too much in the rear. So I'm gonna rise the rear a little bit, and I'm gonna change also that one. That is the bad stuff on an on-road car, because when you hit the throttle the car goes up, and if it goes too way up and the rear is down, you check what happens with the air. The air goes underneath here at high speed and lift the rear from the truck, and because you have here a ground effect, should be, this is a big chance to flip over the car. This body costs now, I only find it in China for 200 euros. So I don't want to destroy that body because of such a stuff. So I'm gonna just set up the screws, the grub screws here, to go down with the nose, and I'm gonna bring the rear a little bit up. I prefer to drive a little bit higher because I drive at parkings. For sure, if you are too high, you lose the ground effects. But I don't care about it. I just wanna have fun with my car without destroying underneath or flip it over. So we're gonna see what happens with tires, if they are better or better or same stuff as Armour tires, bad. Prime tires, a little bit less bad as Armour. Power Hobby tires, even as bad as Prolines. Traxxas tires, bad. So I hope 2 is gonna be a little bit better. You have 2 different type. You can have 42 degree or 52 degree or 48 and 52 something, but the funny thing is you don't know what you have stock on the car, because you have no sign on the tire from what is in on the rims. You don't know if you have the hard ones or the soft ones. If you have soft and front rear, you don't know. Also, the price from this one is also crazy. I also find it in China for about 50-60 euro one pair. That means the same crazy price as Armour, Preorder, Power Hobby Traxxas. This is something I do not like. So I really hope these tires are better and they last a little bit longer. For those who have not checked it, FTX is fast tracks. It doesn't remind you something? Traxxas, TRX, FS Racing do now the same thing. They brand themselves FSR. So we always had this. Back in the time was the Japanese who copied the European cars. Here in France, for example, we have Renault, we have Peugeot, we have Citroën cars. The Germans has BMW, Audi, Mercedes. Oh, this reminds me of Janis Joplin song. Oh Lord, please can you buy me a Mercedes-Benz and a color TV? So, back to the truck. So, back in the time, all people in France claims, oh, the Japanese are copying our cars. Yeah, but 20 years later, who have the best cars? The Japanese, because they take the best from Renault, the best from Peugeot, the best from Citroën for make cars for the import in France, and the car lasts longer, are cheaper, and has better performance. And no oil leak. That's some typical French stuff, had an oil leak. So they take something from Aura, they take something from Traxxas, they take something global RC stuff. You have a handbrake also in the truck. I don't forget it, we're gonna talk about it with the radio system. So we're gonna put the car here so you can look at this gorgeous thing. I really like it. It's American muscle car. That's something we love. I really want to see more NASCAR series cars in 1/7 scale. So the Atronics radio system looks like an old school joke. It looks like the same old stuff with the big antenna. Atronics is not a bad brand. They do some cool radio system. This is a wow radio system. It's an Atronics radio system. You have here a knob for an off switch. You have all you need: dual rates from the steering, from the throttle, from the brake, a 4-channel on a potentiometer, the trims, the reverse, all the stuff. Looks nice. It's nice in the hand. You have a compact base here. I love it. For an RTR, it's way okay. FTX is gonna go for that one. I maybe think that FS Racing and CONRAD not take this radio system. Maybe they are gone for the Carbone RC X4, which is a radio link system. Both systems are good, but it's just this radio system looks. What is this big stuff? We are in the 21st century. Can you please stop to do that and put just a lithium-ion 1 cell here in the grip? That's it. We don't need any more of that stuff. You have a dual rate from the steering, a dual rate from the throttle. That's cool. No separately brake. This is something I really like at the throttle, to have a separate brake knob and a separate throttle knob. We have for sure throttle trim. We don't need any more on a brushless car. This is especially for brushed and for nitro. The bind knob here, something important about that, not for binding, I'm gonna tell you after that. You have the just contact switch for the handbrake. And first I guessed when I unboxed the car that this one gotta be the light system, but nope, it's nothing. The lights are on when you put the power on. You have the front light, no tail light. If you turn, you have in front turn lights, still nothing in the rear, and if you brake, you have the brake lights in the tail. You also have in the box an optional part to put here to get also the downs lane brake lights. Something maybe I'm gonna do when I put the position light in the rear also. You have the reverse for sure here. The on-off knob is here. Take care, because by transporting the stuff you can power it on. You have here the LEDs who gives you how many energy you get in your battery, but not just only that. If you play here with the dual rate, we go to minimum. You see you have here the dual rate indication that works also for the throttle and for the trims. If you play here with the trims, you see you get the trim position here. That's nice. Now something really important. When you start the truck, this truck has an AVC system, TSM, ESP, name it however you want. Typically the stuff we do not need in a 4-wheel drive. Don't need it. So it's on when you power on the car. When the TSM, ESP, AVC is on, you can here change the rate, how many are gonna work for you. But like on the Spectrum systems, if you have here the stability management on, you have no dual rate from the steering. That means the steering is anytime at full maximum power. So it's really important that you check before on your car, if you turn fully left or right, that you not oversteer. That means that you are at the bump stop, the steer stop mechanic, but the servo continue to go on. So this is something you can change. The radio system has an EPA adjustment in an under menu. Also like Spectrum, that's really funny. You just have to brake fully when you put the power on, and then you are in the under menu, so you can change throttle and brake setups and steering setups. It's only the manual, really easy to do. So if you, like me, you don't need any stability management. When the power is on, all you have to do is press 3 times the bind button. Yeah, this reminds you also Spectrum. On the Spectrum is 3 times at the receiver. Here it's 3 times at the radio system. Why did Spectrum do this at the receiver? Because when you drive in a competition field, if you make a run, if it's an official run, you cannot have a backwards, so you have to go a near C, put out the reverse setting, and you have to lock the stability management, so you cannot cheat. Here it's not so, because this is not a competition car. Because if you can adjust or not here, that means that everyone who's driving can just use it without telling you he's using it. But this is a car for joy, so it's not a problem. So once you have locked the electronic stability management, you can use this as a dual ride. You have to know also that you can adjust to 8-step this stability management with this knob here from the dual ride when it's engaged. So you also have here a port to load the battery if you use any MR in the radio system. So we talk about the radio system, the stability management, the settings. We talk about the super nice bodywork. We talk about the tires, the drive line, but not all. We forget to talk about the setup out from the box. We have in the rear, this is really for me too thick and gonna cause that the rear end maybe gonna push too much. We have 30,000 CST oil in the rear. On my GT cars I drive between 5,000 and 10,000 CST in the rear only. In the center differential we have 100,000 CST. This is also a little bit, this is too thin, I think. I drive usually from 300 to 1 million in the center, depending on the car balance and what I want to have on a track. In front they say we have 500,000 CST. So that means really thick, but it feels like more 300. It's not really like 500,000. I can explain this easy. This is not a wrong, this is just because they maybe greased first the differential, then put the oil in. And if you do that, you lose a little bit thickness, because it's really not feeling like 500,000. But this is something we're going to see at the track. Suspension setting, I would say it's not how I like it. But they send you with the car front and rear hard springs and front and rear soft springs. So we guess we have the medium on the car because you have a choice from different springs. That's cool. That's something Arma has forget to do. However, it's Horizon hobby. I forget something. We speak about two different tires, different springs. Don't forget that you have different gearing at the front, a different reduction at front and rear, and you can have the complete differential with the gears, the center alone, front or rear complete with the gears, or you can buy separately each element. But if you're gonna buy the main gear from front and rear, you get immediately the two gear. You just not can buy the main gears alone, you always get the two gears. That's cool because you can easily change your gear mesh and not worry about have you take the wrong or the right part. I would say I'm gonna switch after. We're gonna first make a run RTR stock. Just adjust, I would say, my suspension right high here. After that I'm gonna switch to GRP tires. I'm gonna use some spacer in the rear to have a brighter rear end. And we're gonna switch the differential for sure to do that. Shime it. Gonna see if it works nicely. I'm gonna first calculate the reduction if I change it. If it's possible. It's possible in the Aura. I don't know now if it's possible here. So this is something we're gonna check it. And maybe you're gonna change the oil from the suspension. In front it's too soft oil. The springs looks nice, but the oil is too thin. The car reacts too fast. And in the rear end it's the opposite. The springs are too hard and we have a really hard reaction, and that's gonna cause that the end gonna bump out at each stuff happening on the road. After that we're also gonna change, maybe if it's, we're gonna see how it reacts in the front. If it's too thin, we're gonna put harder oil in the front. Also in the center diff. It's not uncommon on GT cars to have thicker front oil at center diff, but in any case we have hard center and hard front. Many of us drive 500,000 CST front, 300,000 CST in the middle. The weight and most of the GT is in the front. That's why we not need to have a too thick oil in the center diff. And the rear end is really soft, so it just follows the front, because if you have too thick oil in the rear you're gonna overdrive too fast. And we're also gonna set up the ESC. The ESC is the RTR version, so we have 5 setups only on the ESC, not the 11s, but it's enough. I'm gonna change the punch. It's always on the RTRs rated on 3 on 5 scale, or it's 5 on 10 scale, but just the middle. So on road I drive at 1 at minimum punch to not overdrive getting out from the turn. The brake is okay with 50%. Cutoff, important point, the hobby ring stuff out from the box and the most of the time has a cutoff on 3 volts. Put it on the highest possible. Go to 3.4, especially if you drive high voltage battery. It's better to drive 2-3 minutes less, but don't overheat the battery and put it too far down. The tires, you can get 45 degrees or 52 degrees. But how I say, you don't know what is on the truck. And I want to check what we have at the gearings, front and rear differential. If we have some indication, we have no indication. That means we have to open the diff. So when I'm gonna do the oil change in the differential, you have to remind me that I'm gonna count the tools to know what is the rear gear ratio, what is the front gear ratio, to tell you, and to tell you if we can switch it. I'm gonna quickly see at the box if you have something about that. Nope. We have nothing about it. So the car weighs also with our battery 5 kilo and 100 grams. I would say the body alone is 600 grams on the body in the truck. That means we have about 400 to 500 grams less than the Arma series. In fact, and it's still 500 grams more than the VT2 Hobao, even with an unbreakable body at the top. This is important. Why? Because as heavier the car is, so more you get stress on the tires. That's why the VT2 is okay with GT tires, stock 1/8 scale, and you can drive long and fast and have a really good ground hold. And that's why it's really important. Then at the moment GRP released the pre-release sale for these 105mm 1/7 scale GT tires. They're gonna be also tougher to handle this weight especially. That's why he's gonna do it. So no indication of the gearings. That's interesting. Handbrake. I already forget about the handbrake. Use handbrake with head, because when you lock the handbrake, you're gonna force the motor to only if you aren't throttling. The motor gonna run hot, the diff gonna run hot, your battery gonna run hot. So don't use too long the handbrake if you use it while you are on a throttle. If you're using clear, if you let the throttle go, make a turn, just take a little hit at the handbrake for make a small turn, that's okay. But take care, many guys at the beginning on the armor cars has done this failure. Just brainless, hold the brake and hit the throttle. That's not a good idea. Personally, I don't see the utility for a handbrake, because I don't expect that car out from the box to have like the VT2 ground hold. I think this car gonna just have the rear end braking out like the Armor series, so you don't need any handbrake, because all you have to do is let the throttle go and turn a little bit too much and your car handles like it has a handbrake. So I prefer to get, honestly, no handbrake, no AVC, TSM, ESP, no telemetry stuff, but less price. I just want to have a car to drive with a good motor, a good servo, and a nice looking body, tough gearings in there, and that's all. But it's in the air of time, we have to deal with it. Tell me, what do you think about the car, how it looks, if you have a good feeling about it, if you have a bad feeling about it. I know I'm gonna get no issue with the driveline. I was a little bit worried before I get it in my hand about the body, because FS Racing usually use some PVC stuff, really bad bodies, really not okay bodies. But here they have done really something tough. I really not expected that tough body, so that's cool. The electronic in there, hobbying RTR, is okay. We're gonna see how reacts the radio system. If it's the same as I already has as an electronic system, we're gonna have no issue with any lags or no issue with the distance. The steering feels okay. The throttle is a little bit, it's a cheap system, but gonna do the job. And we're gonna see what happens with the ground effect, if you're gonna have one, if it's gonna be bad, if the car gonna lift up, and how the plastic gonna handle. I know something for sure, is that because I have that at the FS Atom, that means at the off-road series, the rear hubs gonna really fast go to be shaked out and gonna have some more play. The hole underneath, where is the X who hold it, gonna be really fast bigger. Even the bearing maybe gonna move in there, like Armor has the same problem. Sorry. Here it happens a little bit faster. In the front we're gonna see what happens if the bearing is gonna move. If I have this issue, I just gonna grab something by hobao. Take the hobao spindle, front and rear, mount it on there, and then it's finished. But we're gonna see what happens. It happens on the off-road cars, but on the off-road car you hit some jumps, you land on the side, you overroll, you side roll, you hit them. Gonna see what happens on on-road. I don't know if FTX has already optional hubs made from alloy. They make already for the off-roader some alloy shock tower from better quality, some chassis brace better quality, and some pin brace. Maybe they also gonna do something for this one. You also can easily adjust something from another brand. If I can put the plastic spindle from hobao, that means I also can put on the 7075 T6 spindle from hobao on the car if it's needed, but it's not what I want to do. In the beginning I was reaching for a cool price, 1/7 scale entry car, RTR, looking nice. We have the LEDs on it. We have enough power to have fun, not too much out from the box to overcook the stuff. The only thing now is we're gonna see how handles the tires, how long they last, how is the ground hold from the car, and then we're gonna step up at the suspension, at the differential, one step after another, to make this car really nice, drivable, if it's not out from the box. This is something I especially not like at the Armour or at the ZD racing car. They drive like a soap. Sorry, but it's really drivable like a soap. That's something it's not only Horizon though. Many brands who uses stability management do not try anymore to make a car who has a good ground hold. They all base the stuff at the stability management. Horizon Hobby are really at the farthest at this point. All new cars that Horizon Hobby put on the market are no more drivable if you not use this stuff until you have changed many things. The baddest of them all, the Losi Hammer Ray. What's that? An overall car? I don't get it. We want trucks and cars who don't use electronic stability management to be drivable. Then you can put it on if you are not a good enough driver. But a car who is not out from the box drivable without that stuff is for me not okay. If you have to change the sway bars, the suspension setting, diff oil and all the stuff to get a car who is normally drivable, it's for me a toy and not an RC car. All those cars you see here drives perfectly without any electronic help. And that's fun. You are the driver, you have to drive the stuff, not the electronic. Guys, see you at the track with the car. I'm gonna make the first run, I guess, on track. How I say, not gonna see now today the runs, because I wait a little bit better outside temperature to really can drive the car. It's sure if the ground is zero that this tire is gonna get zero grip. And I anytime forget that I can put off here on distance. Zip!